Hi, welcome to part 4 of the orientation series for residential counselors. In this video, I'm going to talk about team building. Now, in order to create a transformational experience for your clients, your ability to build teams is perhaps your most crucial skill to develop. There's an entire training series dedicated to helping you acquire tools and techniques to effectively build teams. But for the purposes of orientation, I'm going to focus on just a few fundamental qualities. I think the first thing to understand about the importance of team building is that you can only expect your clients, your students, to learn new ways of behaving, new ways of regulating their own brains and bodies if they feel safe. And the most important factor that will determine if they're going to feel safe is whether or not they feel like they belong to a team. So, in terms of team building among clients, among your students or residents, whatever your program might call them, for the first couple weeks, my suggestion is to focus on the daily schedule. It's a really concrete, structured place for a new staff person to kind of establish yourself, right? So verbally cue students in advance when there's a transition coming up and address them as a group. You know, likely your program has given any therapeutic grouping a name. But I'll even just sometimes say gentlemen or ladies. 5 more minutes and then it's time to transition to dinner, something like that. You address them as a group just to get their attention for what you're saying next, but also that it reinforces the identity as a member of a team. And then support transitions by, praising the group for on-track behavior. I just want to point out that you guys did a great job shutting down the TV and putting away the board games and lining up so that we can get to our next activity. Then empower students by asking them to do things that you think they already can do. Right? Some of that's them getting used to your voice, but it also then gives you an opportunity to, again, praise those behaviors. And for the purposes of team building, of course, you're asking them as a team, as a group, to do something that they've demonstrated being able to do. Model being respectful. Right? Clients respecting you as a helping professional is going to be absolutely crucial. Right? And what I mean by that is not obedience, but respecting you so that when you praise them, it means something. When you show that you respect them, it's meaningful. Right? So be polite. Be centered. Use please and thank you. What you're trying to do is establish your role as a helping professional and as a residential counselor. And part of that is refusing to accept what may be a framing of your role from some of your students, who might want to frame you as a mindless authority figure. So, explain yourself. If you're not sure why something is happening or you're setting a particular limit, find out the reason why. Be able to explain yourself. Be relentlessly reasonable and calm. And remember, it's okay not to have all the answers, especially if you're new in a role, right? But find out what the answers are. Do the follow-up and get back to your client. Your client questioning what you think is something basic may be a form of testing, but it also reflects the level of psychological disorganization that young people who are referred to residential treatment frequently exhibit. Right? So they may ask you questions that seem like there's an obvious answer, and they may challenge your obvious answer. So, say to them, all right, I'm new. I'm going to go check with this more experienced staff person, and then I'll get back to you. But I'm pretty sure you are expected to brush your teeth before you go to bed, that sort of thing. And the students are only one of the important teams that it's part of your job to help build. The other team is your staff team. Residential treatment is a team sport. You're only going to be as effective as your staff team is effective. And your student team is only going to gel as a team if your staff team is really functioning at a high level. So get to know your fellow staff. That can be difficult. A lot of that sort of happens in that period after your clients have gone to bed. Actively seek out feedback from your fellow staff. It can be intimidating to give another adult feedback. So, you need to actively put out there that you're seeking it, that you want to learn, you want to improve. And finally, make sure you debrief any incident that got your heart rate elevated during the course of that shift. Right? Because what happens otherwise is as you're driving home that night, your head's filled with all of this, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. The bottom line is things do happen that kind of get your heart going in residential treatment. Maybe it's just a student being really challenging toward you. Or maybe it's some situation that, was a real physical safety concern. So you can easily be what I call small t traumatized by residential work. And the best way you can protect against that is to debrief afterwards. Just share with a fellow staff person what happened, your thoughts about it. And what that does is it lays down on top of those memories of what happened, your memory of talking about it in a reasonable and calm fashion. And that's what protects you from being, again, I call it small t traumatized. So focus on your team building abilities, that sense of belonging that is going to be so important for the successful experience of the students, and your own sense of belonging to a staff team that is really going to be crucial for your ability to manage the stresses inherent in this kind of work and to really develop into a member of a high-functioning team of staff that is going to then produce a high-functioning team of students or clients or residents.